The low-pressure situation in the Bay of Bengal has intensified to a hurricane. The inclement weather has claimed 4 lives. 6 are missing following a tractor falling into the floods in Kartiv. The President instructs the officials to provide relief to the people affected by the current weather-related disasters. The central bank introduces a single policy interest rate system. The IMF calls for high creditor participation in Sri Lanka's debt operation. The ADB has approved $200 million loan to stabilize Sri Lanka's financial sector. All farmers will receive fertilizer subsidy within the next few days. The Health Minister focuses his attention to the problems of the volunteer employees in the Jaffna hospital. Ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah takes effect.
And now for your news in detail. President Anurukumar Dissanayake directed officials to provide immediate relief services to affected people in disaster-stricken areas by gathering information on site rather than relying solely on technological data.
The President emphasized the need to establish a strong grassroots-level mechanism to facilitate this process. These remarks were made during a discussion held today at the Presidential Secretariat with state officials aimed at expediting relief services for disaster-affected populations. The President instructed officials to ensure that affected individuals are sheltered in secure locations and provided with essential food, water and sanitary facilities. He also directed authorities to allocate sufficient funds for relief efforts. During the meeting, particular attention was given to high-risk northern and eastern provinces, which are severely impacted by adverse weather conditions. President Dissanayake further advised education officials to take appropriate measures to address the mental well-being and difficulties faced by students sitting for the advanced level examination. Attention was drawn to identifying fishermen currently at sea and providing the necessary facilities to ensure their safe return to shore. President Anurukumar Dissanayake further instructed officials to deliver high-quality services to affected individuals while also conducting follow-up investigations to gather information regarding the affected populations. The discussion was attended by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs Ananda Vijaypala, public and defence officials and several others.
Carrying on with your local news, now Sri Lanka's central bank set a new single policy rate of 8%, easing monetary settings below previously used benchmarks in an effort to shore up the island nation's fragile recovery from a deep financial crisis. The introduction of an overnight policy rate would help markets more easily adjust to lower rates and help foster growth.
There has been major announcement yesterday and today. One is about the central bank's move towards single policy interest rates. We will be moving from a dual policy interest rate mechanism to single policy interest rate mechanism, and we call the newly introduced single policy rate as overnight policy rate, and that has been now set at 8%, and that will serve as the primary monetary policy tool for signaling and operationalizing monetary policy stance. And we expect to target to maintain the overnight average weighted cold money market rate, which is the operational target of flexible inflation targeting framework, at around the newly announced OPR. And with the introduction of a single policy interest rate, the SDFR and SLFR, which were considered as policy interest rates earlier, will no longer serve as policy interest rates. But these are still available for participatory institutions for overnight transaction with the central bank. So SDFR and SLFR will be linked to the OPR with a predetermined margin by the central bank, and OPR will be with a plus margin, and SLFR will be with a plus margin with OPR, and SDFR will be with a minus margin with OPR. Yesterday at the Monetary Policy Board, the Monetary Policy Board has decided to further ease the monetary policy stance of the central bank. With this, the overnight policy rate has been set at 8%, and statutory reserve ratio remains at unchanged at 2%. So with this change, the effective rate reduction will be around 50 basis points compared with the average weighted cold money rate. The board arrived at its decision by considering several domestic and international factors, including the uncertainties and risks. And major considerations are deeper than expected inflation in the near term, with further moderation in underlying inflation pressures and inflation expectations, and better than expected developments on the external front, and lack of further space available for reduction in market lending rates. And recently, inflation has softened significantly with the recent downward revision to energy prices, and it's currently at deflation level for 2 consecutive months. And headline inflation is projected to remain negative in the near term, and the latest projection revealed that it will remain negative deeper than previously projected, and core inflation is projected to slow further over the next few months and stabilize thereafter. And we expect inflation will return to the positive level by the middle of 2025 and gradually converge to the targeted level of 5% over the medium term.
Key parameters under the IMF program, like the primary surplus of 2.3%, the revenue GDP target of around 15%, and the inflation target maintained medium to long-term inflation 5%, and the building of reserves to a much more comfortable level so that our external repayment capacity, debt carrying capacity would be increased, and also the completion of debt restructuring. Those parameters has been assured to be maintained going forward. So those are the key parameters. Within that, there could be certain here and there changes, as we have already seen in last 2 reviews also. We are seeing small changes all the time. So there could be those changes one can see when this is approved by the executive board somewhere in February next year. Our level of reserves right now is gross reserves 6.5 billion, and net reserves also, if you look at, remember the targets under the IMF program, net internal reserves, we have commitment to build up to this certain level. We are actually building more than what was expected. It's kind of overperformance in building up official reserves. That's why we are seeing the building resource continues on steady basis, as well as stable currency and bit of appreciation also in the last couple of weeks. I think going forward also we'll continue to build up, and we want to build more. Actually, this is an important buffer for a country to meet any external debt service or any other obligations, and that's will give more confidence to the markets that we have sufficient buffers for us to meet any kind of external shock. I think that's an important one.
So can you predict GDP growth for the end of this year and mid next year?
At the end of this year, we already indicated this will be 4.5 to 5%, compared to, I think, World Bank or ADB announced 4.4% for this year. We think that will be more than that. For the next year, it's still too early for us to make a firm prediction. We will wait and see for the Q4, Q3 and Q4, and then we'll announce our prediction for the next year, probably in the next year. But we can say the baseline would basically going to be 3%. We are very confident that economy will certainly grow well above 3% of the baseline.
Governor, there's a crucial issue these days that people are carrying out online businesses through Facebook and other social media that provides loans to people. Are such businesses legal? Because people, most of these instances, they end up getting scammed. So are these businesses registered with the central bank? If not,
no. First point, there are no. What we are registered financial institution now, banks and licensed finance companies. Those are the only registered financial services coming under central bank regulations. Nothing else is registered under central bank. That's the first point I want to make.
So if not, what are the implementations that the central bank will take to stop such?
No, if that comes under our regulation, we certainly take actions. Illegal deposit taking is a legal action. We take actions against if you have information on illegal deposit taking. But giving credit to people, that doesn't come under central bank purview. So I think there are obviously one can go to the police and complain, lost money like any other money recovery transaction. Then you can. That's why we are seeing a lot of investigation done by CID and a lot of things going on. I can see public are complaining and police are taking actions against those scams. That's good. People basically lack of education and lack of financial literacy is the reason that people get into those scams. It's important that we are conducting what we call financial awareness, economic financial literacy programs throughout the country to educate public not to get into those scams. That's what we are doing from our part, but nothing under regulations or directions.
Now, the inclement weather has claimed the lives of 4 people. The Disaster Management Centre says that 6 more have gone missing.
Meanwhile, the Met Department says that the deep low pressure condition in the southwestern Bay of Bengal region will further intensify up to a hurricane today. Retired Major General Uday Herat said that as a whole, 230,743 individuals of 66,947 families in 141 divisional secretariat areas in 18 districts have been affected. He said that 4 persons have been reported dead and 6 are missing. He added that in addition, 9 persons have received injuries. He said that 8 houses have been totally damaged and 622 partly damaged. Uday Herat said that out of 15,586 individuals have been housed in 165 safety camps at present. He said that they will be provided with all required facilities with the mediation of the district secretaries, divisional secretaries, Gramanildaris and disaster management centres. He added that in addition, the disaster relief divisions have implemented a mechanism with the support of all relevant parties to provide relief. He added that an operational room of the disaster management centre is effective 24 hours. He said that in case of any disaster situation, people can inform the hotline 117.
විවිධ හමුදාව පොලිසිය යහුසුළු මුදවා ගැනීමේ අවශ්‍ය සහන කටයුතු සඳහා මැදිහත් වෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව ආපදා කළමනාකරණ මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ මෙහෙයුම් මැදිරියක් 24 පුරාවටම ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා. ඊ පවතින තත්ත්වය මත ඔබ ආපදාවට ලක් වෙනවා නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මෙම හදිසි දුරකථන අංකය වන 117 වෙත ඔබ කතා කරන්න. එතකොට අපිට අදාළ පාර්ශවයට ඒ වක්තු ආයතනයට යොමු කළා ඔබ.
Due to heavy rains, many areas in the eastern province have faced a risk of flood. A tractor carrying 11 children running from Nindavur to Samantura area yesterday has fallen into the flood currents near a bridge close to Karthi bus stand. Police say that the children were washed away by the floods and people managed to save lives of 5 children. 6 children, driver of the tractor and another elder have gone missing in the floods. The victims are residents of the Samantura area. They are in the age of 12 years to 16 years who are going back home from the Nindavur Madrasa school. A search operation is now underway to trace the missing persons. The Met Department informed the public that they should unnecessary fear about the cyclone since the existing low pressure condition is moving away from the country. Director General of the Met Department, Atula Karunanayaka, said that Sri Lanka has an indirect influence from the cyclone. He said that people are scared that the weather and the cyclone would arrive into the island. He said that this is now moving away from Sri Lanka and by the 29th and 30th of this month, it will reach Tamil Nadu coastal area in India. He added that, however, rains up to 100 or 150 millimeters may occur in the northwestern, northern, north-central provinces and in the Trincomalee district. He said that wind speed may increase up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. He said that, therefore, the sea areas around the island may become rough. He said that, therefore, fishing and naval communities are advised not to engage in fishing activities in the sea areas.
Our correspondent says that many areas in the Polonnaru district have also gone underwater. Flood threat in the area has occurred since the Mahavali river is overflowing at present. All the 10 sluice gates of Parakrama Samudra have been opened at present, while 8 sluice gates of the Kavudul reservoir are also open. The road to Somavatiya sacred premises has also gone underwater. Our correspondent says that Batticaloa district is also receiving heavy rains at present. During the last 21 hours, ended at 8:30 am this morning, Batticaloa has received 172 millimeters of rainfall. It is reported that Colombo Batticaloa Road and Kalmuneg Batticaloa Road are underwater. Meanwhile, many areas including Kathankudi, Vakare, Valachennai, Eravur and Uttamwadi are underwater at present. Sluice gates of the largest reservoir in the Batticaloa district is open by now. People in the northern province have also faced immense difficulties due to rain. It is reported that 148 irrigational tanks in the Vavuniya district only are overflowing. 14 sluice gates of the Rajangane reservoir have also been opened, while 2 gates of the Angamo reservoir are also open due to the heavy rains experiencing in the upper catchment areas. The Kaladava reservoir has also reached spill level. About 10 houses have been damaged due to fall on earth mounds in the Uva Paranagama area. The disaster management units of the area are providing relief to affected people. Landslides were reported at about 20 places along with Demodara Spring Valley Road in Badulla. Vehicle transport along this road has been restricted. The disaster management units of the area are providing relief to affected people's. Landslides were reported at about 20 places along the Demodara Spring Valley. Engineer Asri Karunawardana said that according to the red notice, Harispattuwa, Ganga Watakorale, Doluwa, Yatinuwara, Udapalata, Pahata Hewa Hatta, Ududuwara, Deltota Divisional Secretariat areas in the Kandy district and the Ukwela Yatawara Rantota are underwater.
Our correspondent says that there are heavy rains in the Monoragal district as well. Hadaoya in the area is now overflowing and the Navy officials rescued a group of farmers who were trapped cultivation lands due to floods. All the 6 sluice gates of the Veheragala reservoir has been opened due to the heavy rains in the area. The irrigation department informs the people living close to the banks of the Manik Ganga river to be vigilant over the rising water level. 8 sluice gates of the Polgo reservoir has also opened. The Mahavali authority says that a water flow of 35,000 cubic meters per second is released from the Victoria reservoir from the Polgola dam. Six sluice gates of the Bothana reservoir in the Naula have also been opened to 2 feet each. People living in the 9 villages either sides of the Ambanganga river has also been affected due to this situation. Many low-lying areas in the Puttalam district has inundated due to the heavy rains. Most affected areas are located in the Mundalama, Kalpiti Divisional Secretariat areas. The Puttalam District Disaster Management Unit says 6,615 people of 1,839 families have been affected. Meanwhile, 8 sluice gates of the Tabbo River have also been opened. Water level of the Nachaduwa tank is increasing and 2 sluice gates have been opened, 1 foot each, releasing the excessive water to the Malvatu Oi River. 8 sluice gates of the Daduroy reservoir has also been opened, present releasing 46,355 cubic feet per second to the Daduroy river. Due to this situation, Ridi Badindala bridge area along the Alla and Radhapura road has also gone underwater. National Relief Services says that all required funds have been allocated under the guidance of the President Andrew Kumar Disanayaka. Director of the National Relief Services Centre, Namal Lienege, said that unnecessary financial grants have been already directed to the district secretariats to conduct relief activities. The Sri Lanka Air Force is monitoring the rain-affected areas. A Bell 212 helicopter has been deployed to monitor the Ampar area. The Air Force officials managed to save a civilian who was trapped in the Maila Watan 1 area in Eraul. Later, he was airlifted to the Batiklo Air Force camp. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka police says that Tamil people in the northern and eastern provinces are able to inform any disaster situations to the police and other institute through the hotline 107. Police media spokesman DIG Nihal Talduwa said that a hotline with the number 107 has been set up in the Vavuniya police headquarters to address relief necessities. He said that the centre will coordinate all relevant institutions through this system. Views were also expressed regarding the recommendation and the recommencement of the GCE advanced level examination as well. Defence Secretary Sampathu Yakonta said that the GCE advanced level examination should be recommenced following the culmination of the disaster situation.
The Managing Director of International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, said that the IMF remains a steadfast partner in supporting Sri Lanka and its people and stands ready to assist the country achieve its economic and social reforms goals. She also expressed that the Sri Lankan authorities have been implementing an ambitious economic reform program supported by the IMF, which aims to restore debt sustainability and external viability, underpinning broad macroeconomic reforms and strengthening economic governance and transparency. Issuing a statement about Sri Lanka to members of the financial community, the managing director of the IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, said that the program has gotten off to a good start with the economy recovering, inflation remaining low and reserves being accumulated. She also stated that following the completion of 2 reviews, IMF staff has reached staff-level agreement with the authorities on 23rd November for the 3rd review under the arrangement. Adding, she said that in June 2024, Sri Lanka agreed on the Memorandum of Understanding with the Official Creditors Committee and reached final agreement with China Exim Bank that would deliver a debt treatment by those creditors aimed at restoring debt sustainability consistent with IMF program parameters. The managing director further added that the continued support from international financial institutions and other official creditors, together with the participation of bondholders in the debt exchange consistent with debt sustainability, is necessary to underpin the success of these reform efforts. The Asian Development Bank today approved a $200 million policy-based loan to further help the government of Sri Lanka strengthen its financial sector. This second sub-program of ADB's Financial Sector Stability and Reforms Program builds on the stabilization and crisis management measures put in place under the first sub-program approved in 2023.
ADB's country director for Sri Lanka, Takafumi Kadonu, expressed that Sri Lanka has made good progress in stabilizing macroeconomic conditions and improving the fiscal situation. He also added that ADB is helping the country establish long-term growth by introducing and institutionalizing structural reforms in its financial sector. This sub-program reinforces ADB's support in strengthening the governance of the banking sector and expanding financial inclusion in Sri Lanka to achieve sustainable recovery from economic crisis, resilience and poverty alleviation. Policy reforms under sub-program 2 will improve the central bank's regulatory. The central bank will continue to strengthen the banking sector's asset quality, which will provide guidance on credit concentration risk limits and give incentives to banks to accept guarantees and limit collateral requirements to micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. In addition, to expand businesses led especially by women, the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Policy Formulation, Planning and Tourism will provide incentive packages such as special loans.
And in more news from home, Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Namal Karunaratne says that the 25,000 rupee fertilizer subsidy will be provided to all farmers within the next few days. He made these remarks at a media briefing held today. Deputy Minister Namal Karunaratne said that he has received information that about 850,000 hectares of paddy land will be cultivated this season. He said that all these farmers will be definitely provided with a fertilizer subsidy of 25,000 rupees per hectare. He added that accordingly over a sum of 20,000 million rupees have been allocated for this purpose. He further said that the money will be definitely credited to the bank accounts of the farmers. Deputy Minister Karunaratne said the government assures that all the farmers will be provided with a fertilizer subsidy. He said that earlier fertilizer subsidy was given to the farmers after preparing the lands for cultivation. He added that the money will be credited to the farmers' accounts in advance for cultivation. He said that the government clearly pledges that the money will be given to the farmers within the next few days. Namal Karunaratne stressed that there is no shortage of fertilizer in the market at present. He added that there are ample stocks of the TSP fertilizer, mud fertilizer, urea and mop fertilizer in the country.
A meeting between the World Bank Regional Director for Nepal, the Maldives and Sri Lanka, David Sislan, met Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuri at the Prime Minister's office yesterday. They focused attention to the current debt restructuring process, social security policy of Sri Lanka government's commitment for minimizing climate changes and removing salary gaps based on sexuality. The World Bank's manager for Maldives and Sri Lanka, George Sergation, Prime Minister's Secretary Pradeep Saputantri and several others were present at this discussion. Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuri also met ambassadors of several countries yesterday at the Prime Minister's office. Ambassador of Egypt, Iran, Japan and Vatican met the Premier and held talks on strengthening diplomatic relations. In addition, they also focused attention to promote the cooperation in various sectors. Prime Minister Secretary Pradeep Saputantri and several others were present at this discussion.
Now, the Minister of Health and Mass Media, Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, has focused attention on the problems faced by the volunteer employees of the Jaffna Teaching Hospital. A group of volunteer employees of the Jaffna Hospital met the Minister today at the Health Ministry. They arrived at the Health Ministry without any prior notice. They wanted to get solutions for their problems unsolved for over 3 years. About 300 minor staff, volunteer employees of the Jaffna Hospital presented their problems at this meeting. They requested the Health Minister to take measures to give them permanent appointments, considering the current economic situation. After a mutual discussion with them, the Minister directed this problem to the Director General of Health Services, Asela Gunawardena. The Minister further said that he will immediately look into the possibility of achieving justice for the volunteer employees of the Jaffna Hospital. Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that these employees have a reasonable problem to be solved. He said that they have achieved a volunteer service at the Jaffna Teaching Hospital for over 3 years. He added that the ministry will focus attention to give them a reasonable solution for their problems.
Now, the Russian embassy in Colombo recently started a new initiative to enhance bilateral relations with Sri Lanka. The initiative was launched under the patronage of Russian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Levan Zagarian. The new cooperation project was named as Sri Lanka Under One Sun. It is aimed to promote people's diplomacy and culture between the two nations. Another milestone, Russian Geographical Society in Sri Lanka, was also launched at the ceremony held in Colombo.
People in our auditorium today, this year has been a very eventful year and it still can't end. And every time we see a crowd of people, a crowd of beautiful faces, bright eyes and smiles on those faces. And it is with great honor today that the Russian House is hosting such a historical event, another historical milestone in the relations of Russia and Sri Lanka, two wonderful, friendly countries. Geography, as we know, is something that can unite people from all over the world, just like culture, just like music, just like traditions, and both of our countries are very rich in terms of geography. Our country, the Russian Federation, is rich in so many aspects, but one of the best and richest aspects that we have is we can make friends. And today, I hope this event will help us build a new bridge, a new strong and powerful bridge between our countries, and bring together people who are interested in such a beautiful science as geography. I know how many smart and talented people live in Sri Lanka and how they are interested in such things, and I hope that this will be a start of something good and something new.
Repeatedly mentions that it's a little bit fun for me as a Russian ambassador being here at the Russian Cultural Center to deliver my speech in English. But no choice, because maybe a major part of those who are present don't understand the Russian language, unfortunately. But anyway, hopefully, maybe a few years later, I will be able to deliver my speech in Russian language, which is very natural. So once again, thank you very much for coming, and let's enjoy this event. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends of Russian Federation, I have served as the President of the Friendship Society for the last 24 years. When I entered the Parliament in 2000, I succeeded the former Minister Lakshman Jayakodi, and since then I am serving as the President of the Friendship Society. And I have been to Russian Federation several occasions in different capacities as the President of the Friendship Society and the Minister of Education and Minister of Science and Technology. The friendship between Sri Lanka and Russia goes to centuries. Many renowned writers visited Sri Lanka in 18th century and stayed at the Proben Hotel and the Golf Face Hotel. And we have been supported by Russian Federation in the international forums and as a friendly country. Now, Russian Association for International Cooperation celebrates 100 years of its establishment. And today, we launched the society called Russian Geographical Society, and we have become a member of that association, and it's the President Vladimir Putin and the government and many leading commercial entities sponsoring this association to strengthen the friendship between other nations and Russian Federation.
The first twin floating photovoltaic power plants of Sri Lanka was added to the national grid today. The twin floating photovoltaic power plants in Sevanagala, Kiribanvava, at Chandrika Reservoir in Emblipitia has the capacity to generate 2 megawatts of electricity to the national grid daily. The ceremony was held today by the participation of the Korean ambassador to Sri Lanka, Myeon Lee, and the chairman of the Sustainable Energy Authority of Sri Lanka, Professor Vijendra Bandara. The Korean ambassador stated that the Korean government is willing to support Sri Lanka's energy targets. The power plants have been established by local engineers under the funds and technical guidance by the Korean government. 5.2 million USD has been funded for the project. The twin floating PV power plants are also expected to cater the educational needs of engineers and technicians of the photovoltaic energy stream.
Now, the Speaker, Dr. Ashok Ranwala, says that the government has received a mandate to act cooperatively with all communities and religious groups. The Speaker made these remarks to the media following a meeting with the Colombo Archbishop and the Chief Maulavi in Colombo. The meeting with the Speaker and the Colombo Archbishop, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, was held last evening at the Archbishop's official quarters. His Eminence Cardinal Ranjit invoked blessings to the new Speaker at this occasion. Colombo Archbishop His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit said that the people witnessed the Parliament was in a deteriorated condition in the recent past. His Eminence said that therefore the new Speaker has been given a special opportunity to build up trust with the people of the country. His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit said that this new system implemented in the country at present will make the country more prosperous and an independent nation. His Eminence further said that he congratulates the new Speaker and the government to create a new civilization with unity among all communities and religious groups. Later, the Speaker met the Maulavi of Ulama organization and received blessings. The meeting was conducted at the Maligavat Ulama Council. Speaker Dr. Ashok Ranwala says that they came to the Ulama Council with the support of all parliamentarians to create peace and harmony in the country. He said that the government expects to create a spiritual background to achieve this endeavor. He requested the general public to support to create a national reconciliation in the country with the aim of creating a beautiful country for the future generations. He further said that all parties should mediate to build the country with mutual agreement. Dr. Ashok Ranwala said that if there is any incident harmful to the national unity, the government will be committed to look into such matters.
The global organization Women in Management held its Top 50 Career Women Global Awards for the 14th time in Malaysia on the 7th of November this year. At the awarding ceremony, Menaka Kalyanaratne of Sri Lanka has been honored with the Golden Awards of Excellence for Human Mission and Leadership.
Menaka Kalyanaratne is currently working as the head of the Global Employee Relations in the Save the Children International Organization. She has contributed her services to securing children's rights for over a period of 24 years. She has also rendered her services on media and communication, child safety, resource management and many other areas. Menaka had her primary education in Visakha Vidyalaya Badulla and the secondary education in Visakha Vidyalaya Colombo. She received her first degree at the Colombo University and followed her master's at Madurai University. She is now conducting global-level human resource management with over 60 countries. 296 women from over 27 countries representing Asia, Africa and Europe were recommended for these 50 awards. Menaka Kalyanaratne is also a creative poet, and a book of her poetry was published in Toronto in Canada in 2019.
This award was organized by Women in Management Malaysia chapter. So Women in Management was an organization founded by Dr. Sulochana Segera in Sri Lanka. So I think that is very special that a woman in Sri Lanka created this organization and she has taken it to the rest of the world. And this is a way of appreciating women who have excelled in their own professional fields. And this year was the 14th year in which they have organized these awards at a global scale. So at the 14th Global Awards, I received this award for strategic leadership in humanitarian work, and this is a gold award. And very specially I want to mention that this trophy itself was produced in Sri Lanka using dolomite from Polonnaruwa. So I feel very special to be the recipient of this and being able to bring this award to Sri Lanka as a Sri Lankan who has worked in many countries. So this is for all of us. And this is a way of appreciating the humanitarian field, which is a rare opportunity. As humanitarian workers do not get that kind of recognition. So it's I share this award, all the humanitarian people across the world, and especially those Sri Lankans working in different parts of the world, trying to make a better world for marginalized children. Humanitarian work is not one person's work. So I, as always, I accept this award on behalf of all humanitarian staff who have worked with me over the last 24 years. My plan for the future is to continue advocating for children's rights and make sure that the work that we do and the work that we have done and our predecessors have done continue to make this world a better future for children by taking care of children right now. So I see children as citizens of today and not just the future. So we have to secure their future today in order to secure a better future for them tomorrow.
A special lottery named Dana Yogaya, introduced under the Lagna Vasanava lottery series, has been released to the market yesterday. The event was headed by the General Manager of the Development Lotteries Board, Anuraj Ratna. The special draw is scheduled to be held on the 7th of December. In addition to the super draw and other prizes scheduled for the day, the cash prizes will be awarded to the first and second special numbers of the selected 6 numbers. And that's all the news we have from home. Stay tuned for international stories coming up next.
And in your foreign news, a ceasefire between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah appeared to be holding as residents returned towards the southern Lebanon despite warnings from the Israeli and Lebanese military that they stay away from certain areas.
The ceasefire would bring an end to nearly 14 months of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. The ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah came into effect at 4 a.m. local time. Thousands of Lebanese civilians are returning to their destroyed homes hours after the ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah came into effect. Traffic jams lined in main highway from Beirut to the south as many find their homes destroyed on their return. Israel's troops began a land invasion of Lebanon almost 2 months ago in response to almost a year of rocket attacks from Hezbollah. US President Joe Biden says the deal involves Israeli forces withdrawing from Lebanon over 60 days, with the Lebanese army taking control of territory in the south of the country to ensure Hezbollah does not rebuild forces. The ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon involved a number of international parties. It was brokered by the US, while France is expected to help monitor the truce.
Terima Kutumi, Fantamai.
All the news we have for tonight. Join us tomorrow at the same time for the very latest on Channel Eye. I'm Dilanjali, together with Shivan signing off. Good night.
Good night.